Good morning. So today we'll be taking up the second topic related to Mendelian genetics and its extension. And the books I have referred to in this case are the same ones that I referred to for Unit 1, Russell I Genetics, Klug and Cummings, Snowstad and Simmons, Benjamin Pierce, Brooker, and Strickberger Genetics. We will be doing step by step. So for today's class, we'll be having a brief idea about linkage, crossing over, complete and incomplete linkage. Now, since we had done Mendelian laws and we did the epistatic ratios, we saw them in different categories of alleles. So I thought of starting today's class with the concept that how Mendelian genes and chromosomes in meiosis, what is the parallel behavior that is observed? Because remember, you should always remember that whenever the word Mendel comes, we have to think that at that time, the concept of genes was not there. Yet, the way his law of independent assortment works, so this is just to draw a parallel between the Mendelian concept and the behavior of genes on chromosomes in meiosis. Now, let us consider a hypothetical model where there is a capital A small a and a capital B small b diploid. As you can see, there is this diploid. So we have a capital A, and we have a small a. These two chromosomes are metacentric chromosome. And on the other hand, let us consider another gene pair, which is a telocentric chromosome, capital B, small b. Now, as the cell enters meiosis, we all know that the chromosomes gets duplicated and the homologue synapse. So in metaphase 1, you can see the orientation of the chromosomes on the metaphase plate. Now, as the picture suggests, there can be two types of arrangement, where both the dominant alleles are arranged on one side and both the recessive alleles are arranged on the other side, or we have a dominant allele of capital A and a recessive allele of allele B on one side, and the recessive allele A and the dominant allele B on the other side. Now, what we know is that after metaphase 1 follows anaphase 1, where we have the pull. So you can see the chromosomes are being separated during the anaphase 1 and finally the telophase 1. Now, when we are looking into telophase 1, you can see that it was a single cell. Now we are going to have 4 different cells, each carrying a copy of the A pair and the B pair. Now, as I said, there are 2 possible arrangements. One of the gametes has both the capital A and capital B wild type allele, and the other gamete has both the recessive allele. But in this condition, you can see there is the capital A small b allele and small a capital B allele. Now, meiosis 2 follows. And on having meiosis 2, you can see that we are having 2 gametes having capital A, capital B, 2 gametes having small a, small b. And in this combination, we are having 2 gametes having capital A, small b, and 2 gametes having small a, capital B. So, as I said, we started with this hypothetical case of a gene pair, capital A, small a, capital B, small b. And what was the conclusion that we derived at? We came to the conclusion that the independent alignment of the 2 homologous pairs of chromosome at metaphase 1. So in metaphase 1, there was this independent alignment of the 2 homologous pair of chromosomes, resulting in equal frequency of the 4 meiotic products. So we have equal amount of capital A, capital B, 2 gametes, small a, small b, 2 gametes, capital A, small b, 2 gametes, and small a, capital B, 2 gametes, illustrating a similar concept which we saw when we studied the alleles and how the alleles segregated, the Mendelian's principle of independent assortment. So capital A has been independently assorted and capital B has been independently assorted. So this was just a parallelism drawn with respect to how the genes behave during meiosis. And now we mean to move on to our main topic. Just a second. Let's first start with the genetic map. But before genetic map, I'll be showing you the conceptual thing as to how, because we are getting into complete and incomplete linkage. So we'll be seeing how independent assortment is associated, how it can be compared with complete and incomplete linkage. Remember, when we are talking about two alleles, I have drawn it in a recessive one, and they are present in the same chromosome, you have to consider one thing in fact, that the two alleles or the two genes may go together. That is, there might be some amount of linkage existing within them, or there might be no linkage between them. These are the two extreme conditions. They may be completely linked, that is, they move together during meiosis, or they are independent of each other. So these are the two extreme conditions. In between lies a fact that there might be some amount of linkage present in between these two alleles in question. So let's get into the details of the class. Now, let us consider a cross. If you look into the cross, we have a gene pair and a B gene pair. When I started the class today, if you remember, there was this A gene pair and a B gene pair, but that was two different chromosomes. Now, when I am entering the concept of independent assortment and comparing it with complete linkage and incomplete linkage, we have to consider one chromosome. So again, we are having a gene pair where we have capital A small a pair and a capital B small b pair, but A and B gene are present on the same chromosome. So let's look at the picture. So this is the cross that has been written here. This is that cross. So we have a capital A, capital B on one side and a small, then this is the other chromosome, small a, small b, and this is the other genotype where we have both the recessive set of small a, small b. Now, when we are talking about gametes, now these chromosomes during meiosis will separate out to form gametes. Now let's see. The first category of gamete that will be formed is capital A, capital B from this one, and small b from this one. The second gamete that will again be formed from this one will be small a, small b, small a, small b. Now, as you can see, these gametes that have been formed, they are replica of the parental genotype. All the chromosomes that you see have formed gametes here are nothing but a replica of what we are seeing in the parents. So these categories are known as non-crossovers. So no crossing over has happened between the two genes in question. As the parents are, we are seeing the gametes produced. Now, there might be a phenomenon of crossing over occurring between the two genes A and B, assuming that there is no linkage between them. So whenever there is this phenomenon of crossing over, so what conditions we might get? We will get a capital A, small b, and a small a, capital B. So let's look into the first category of gamete. So we are getting, as I said, a capital A, small b. Since these are similar type, the gamete that will be obtained will be small a, small b. And the second category of gamete that will obtain from here is small a, capital B. So we saw the two products. These two products are not similar to the parental genotype. So they are known as the non-crossover, they are known as the crossover product. So crossing over has occurred in between the A gene and the B gene. So in such a case, when we are having a cross like this, capital A, small a, capital B, small b into small a, imagine what are the situations that can arise. The first situation, as I said, is one extreme case, independent assortment. The two genes are not linked. The moment we talk about independent assortment, remember Mendel's experiment with wrinkled green, yellow, and wrinkled smooth cotyledons. So we will be getting the 4 recombinant categories. So you can see the 4 recombinant categories. Sorry, we'll be getting the 4 categories, of which 2 will be non-recombinant, as I showed you, and 2 will be recombinant or crossover products. The amount of gamete observed will be, the 4 categories will be observed in the same ratio if there is this independent assortment occurring between the between the genotypes, then we will be getting the 4 category of gametes in equal ratio. Remember, this is a test cross. This is not the typical F1 cross that we studied in Mendelian experiments. This is a test cross where we have one heterozygous and the other is homozygous recessive for both the genes in concern. So in independent assortment, what we saw is that we are getting 4 categories of gametes, all in equal amount, 2 sets non-recombinant or the parental type, which are known as the NCO, and 2 sets are the recombinant type, which are known as the crossover products. The second case that may arise, as I said, is let us look at the other extreme case. The first I said is A and B being totally independently assorted. There's no relation between A and B. The second case is that there is a linkage existing between A and B. As a result of phenomena of linkage, the 2 genes will tend to be inherited together. So they will move together. The moment we imagine such a situation that the 2 genes are being inherited together, so the question of crossover products will no more arise. Because the genes are linked, the phenomena of crossing over will not occur between the 2 genes. And what we will get only 2 categories of gametes, which are known as the non-crossover products or the parental phenotype, parental genotypes, and we'll get equal amount of these 2 categories of gametes. So we're getting 50% of the 2 parental genotypes. Finally, the intermediate situation between independent assortment and complete linkage. The moment a situation arises where the genes are partially linked, they tend to remain together, but at times crossing over is observed between them, then what happens is that the parental products or the gametes are obtained always more than 50%. And the recombinant products are obtained less than 50%. So the moment we have a value of recombinant gametes less than 50%, we will be understanding the fact that incomplete linkage is present in between these 2 genes in concern. So if we look at this results from the back way, that means when we are having 4 categories of gametes in a test cross, all in equal ratio, 1:1:1:1:1, what will be your assumption? The 2 genes have been independently assorted. When we have only 2 categories of gametes in the ratio 1:1, and the 2 categories of gametes present are the parental are exhibiting the parental phenotype, then we have to assume that complete linkage is existing in between the 2 genes in concern. And finally, if you get a situation when you are getting more than 50% of the non-crossover products and less than 50% of the recombinant products or the crossover products, you have to come to a conclusion that the 2 genes in concern are partially linked. So that is how the result can give us an idea about the status of the 2 genes in question, whether they are independently assorted or whether they are linked or whether they are. Just a second.